Tēnā tātou, mauri ora I te whare, tēnā koe te iwi, ngā hiki, tēnā koe tuare, kei te mihi kia koe mō tō awhi, mō tō tautoko o te kaupapa o tēnei rā, kei te mihi. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you two young men that I really have a lot of aroha for, and I've known them ever since they started out, and their first time to the Waido was about their second day working in their organisation and also being a part of Te Putahitanga. And I absolutely love the two young men, and they know that, and I think they're surprised because I'm up here. I've talked to them all weekend, and they actually asked me if I'd do their waiata for them. They didn't know I was going to be introducing them. So yes, I'll help you to do your waiata. So I have the privilege in introducing you to Vincent, Egan and Madison Henry, founders of Maui Studios. Maui Studios Aotearoa is a creative agency sitting on a solid foundation of creative discipline and sustainable business practice serving the taniwha economics of Australasia. This organisation exists purely to feed the studio creative's obsession for digital creation. I'm going to cry. Vinny and Maddie's are two creative Māori entrepreneurs who confounded Maui Studios from the ground up as a creative agency based in both Dunedin and Christchurch. Today they have a team of 10 full-time staff and over 50 contractors worldwide. Vinny has an exceptional track record, I think.
She exited out.
She just deleted the message.
Anyway, I don't need all that to introduce you to Maddie and Vincent, who, and I have to tell you, when they first started out and came to Waido for their first visit, they were pōhara, and they told me they were pōhara. And they came to the organisation that I managed, and I gave them some lunch, and then after that they weren't shy to say to me, "Fire, can we take the leftovers to our motel, to our room that wasn't a motel, because we're pōhara and we don't have any money to buy we don't have any money to buy our kai." So, of course, we loaded them up. They took all of that, but they came back again the next day. Because I tell you, they were pōhara, and now they can buy all of us in this room because of what they've been able to do and what they've been able to create for themselves in their own business. And I have to tell you that every time I went to Showplace, I'd walk through the door with my bags and whoever else was with me, and I would turn left and people would say, "That's not where the boardroom is." And I said, "No, I have to go and see my naughty boys before we start our meeting." So I just want to introduce you to these wonderful young men, Maddie and Vinny. I love you both.
Oh.
Kia ora. You didn't know I was going to be here, did you?
Not up
I'm
here.
not going to, because I can't be quick.
E karoria ki te atua, he maungarongo ki te whenua, he whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa, a tihei wā Māori ora. E mihi ana ki ngā whānau, ka noho tahi i tēnei kaupapa, i wainga nui i a tātou. Kia pai here i raro, i te wawata matua, arā te oranga o te whānau. He mihi atu ki te pūtahitanga o te waipaunamu, te rōpū haumaru o tēnei waka, tēnei whakāturanga, te whakatīnanatanga o te kōrero, te waka kotuia, kahorea tukutukua, ngā mimira. Mēnā, ka pai here tia te wawata tika, ka pai here te whānau, te rangi Māori e.
Tēnā rā tātou, e mihi nui ki a koutou mai te Ropua Maui Studios, e taupuni a Maui roto i te ao hangarau. We need a bit of a clicker too to be able to progress our kōrero up here today. But ko taranaki tōku maunga, ko Aotearoa noi tōku waka, ko ngā rua hinerangi me ngā te rua noi oku iwi. E uri ahau, i roto i te iwi nui tonu a ngā rua hinerangi me era aoatanga o ngā mātua tupuna. He iwi no te ariki, he iwi no te wairua, he iwi ki te rongorawa. Tēnā tātou, kia ora te whānau. Ko Vincent Egan tōku ingoa, he kai whakahaere au o te Ropu o Maui Studios. Kia ora.
Kia whakarongo taku tītiro ki a motopōhui maunga, kia tāhuri au ki te moana o te ara a kiwa e rere rā, waka tipua, waka tāwhito, ko taki timu me uru ao e tere mai i Hawaiki, e tūnei au, hei raukora, mo ngai tahu, Ngāti Māmoe, Waitaha, Ngāti Rarotonga, ko Awaroa tuku kāinga tūturu, ka hoki mai taku manu ki runga o Te Rawaroha Marae. Ko Madison Henry Ryan tōku ingoa, Creative Director, Maui Studios.
Massive as whānau, so we're super humbled and privileged to be able to share a little bit about our journey and celebrate our journey with the Whānau Ora movement. We just want to talk a little bit about what it is that we do and how we've actually been manakied by this organisation and this massive ropu that's here and just Whānau Ora throughout the years. So I'm Vincent Egan. Usually when we have these sorts of kōrero, and especially in sort of a mainstream setting, when they ask, why is it that you do business, they expect that you're going to come through with some sort of profit loss, or how is your quarterly, or how much money you're making, all that sort of a thing. Which is all well and good, and that's all part of the journey, but when we're on the stages like this and we have this kōrero, we start with these types of slides. This is my whānau. In the middle there, there's my dad, Gary Egan, and my beautiful mum. She's the matriarch of our whānau, alongside her mum, Nini, Irene Robinson. But I wanted to share this because this is pretty much who I am. This is where I come from. That little angry-looking fella on the left-hand side there, that's me. And so I think it's also worth acknowledging that, as this little kind of driven sort of fella heading out, it's not because I'm angry at you if you see me looking like that, or it's actually because I'm half blind and that's just what my face looks like. So if you see me looking at you like that, this is where that comes from, because I'm just on my way to whatever kaupapa it is. But you also see that behind me there on his bike is my brother. That speaks to the type of tight-knit whānau that we are, that we're backed by our whānaus, and they're the ones that help give us strength to move forward. So yeah, tēnā koe.
And kia ora e te whānau, so just wanted to share. This is my whānau. I was raised by my mother with my brother, Connor, he's here as well, and I just wanted to mihi atu for this side of my whānau. Basically, my mother, Erilyn, she's a bit of a Māori gypsy, I like to think of her as, and she liked to move around. She couldn't sit still, so she was super proactive, and she had the ability to make friends with anyone. And in this case, every time we tried to get settled somewhere around Te Waipounamu, a year or so later, she'd be like, all right, you're settling in, you're making friends, and I'll be like, yeah. Me and my brother like, yeah, hard up. And then she was like, oh, well, too bad, we're moving to another place tomorrow. And so, by the time I was like, I don't know, we were pretty young, we'd lived in over like 40 different homes. She raised us from Bluff, moved to the Chatham Islands, to Motueka, to Orinoco, to Christchurch, Dunedin. So I think that speaks to the type of individual that I've become as someone who's been blessed to have a lot of opportunities and experiences and meet a lot of people. And so that's how I think my family's flowed into what I do today. Yeah. Joe?
So what we're going to start off with is just kind of talk about how this guy and I met. And it may be something relatable to some like, I'd actually describe us as low-key delinquent sort of youths. So this is us expressing ourselves as young Māori on the side of one of the businesses that's actually on Vogel Street.
Yeah, Vogel.
And we actually thought that we had permission because we were just like, yeah, nah, get stuck into the mahi rara. But then actually what's funny is after this photograph, when we turned around, there was a police officer waiting there for us.
Yeah.
And so I suppose it's worth mentioning because it's like, you know, that's sort of, we were just genuinely young Māori creatives keen to create something. We needed a canvas to be able to do that type of thing. And that's just how we knew was the best way to express ourselves. Little did we know that could be heading us down the wrong path. So
we managed to talk our way out of it as well. So.
Yeah.
So this speaks to us as young creatives. This was our crew back in the day, Nexus Dimensions. We started off our studies here at Otago Polytechnic doing the communications design course. And if anyone's unfamiliar what that is, it's basically a multidisciplinary creative course made up of just, I guess, teaching you how to storytell and troubleshoot problems. And we were both so interested in illustration and art and all that, and it translated into all these different avenues like film and website design and animation. And so naturally, as we progressed, we found we were inspired by all these different kinds of projects. But yeah,
And-
it's a squad.
So that's basically, we Mads and I we resonated on that creative sort of graffiti side of things. And the way that we fueled our energies was you can get I think they might still be doing the Great Wall.
Yeah.
It's not too far from here. They used to do it was like a $5, $7 lunch meal. And so we used to pool our coins and as Fire Molly so elegantly put it, we were just these poor hara-as fellas.
Yeah.
Like, fine enough because we were students at the same time, but this was one of our places we would go to sort of re-energize
Some of the
ourselves.
other places included the Otago Polytechnic Gardens. They had the Māori room where there was always
Mahina
toast
kai.
and coffee, and then there was the Pacific Island room as well. So yeah, we managed to double up. A couple
And
times.
somehow, I'm just falling behind these guys as we go into that thing because I don't think I look Pacific Islander at all. But what we did manage to turn ourselves into and to make ourselves look like was these kind of crazy interdimensional space mech versions of ourselves. And so we were just creating, honestly. And one of our mottos today is that we like to create with our limitation. So we're all into technology, things like mechs, and just being able to create and recreate things. So this is how we were manifesting ourselves. And it might be a bit startling now that I'm up on the stage and actually talking to you fellas about it. But that's how we decided to make ourselves look in that time.
These are just interpretations of ourselves in Photoshop. We used to just sit around drawing on our computers all day, and we're like, why not do some stuff for us? And so this was just another way of expressing ourselves. And I think in the beginning here, we started a business called Exist Design and Illustration. That was our first sort of, I guess, concept development phase before Maui Studios. And yeah, we really progressed and managed to meet a lot of interesting individuals. Our next project, boom. We ended up at on Tennyson Place, Arai Turu Whare Hōora. We want to do a massive mihi because we met a lady called Donna Matahaere Atariki, and she basically saw us and was like, we were just mahiing out of this guy's room every day, and she goes, where are you working? What are you doing? And we're like, okay, well, we're just waking up every day in this small, we've got a calendar, we've got a computer, and we're just keen to mahi. And she was like, well, you can have my office, I'm hardly there anyway. So when all the Arai Turu Whare Hōora crew came in on, I think it was Monday, we were set up there, full beats and banging out at the gym,
Backward
the coffee,
caps
the
and
feeds.
jandals, and everyone's looking super professional. We're just jamming out. Hearing about what Penny was saying today about those individuals that are going to help to shift our whānau and how we're thinking, and it comes from that matriarch. So there are all these really key mana wahine people within our lives that have just really been there for us to help to cultivate us. And so one of the projects that Donna Matahaere gave us, and this links back to those interdimensional space mechs, was this one called Making a Difference.
Yeah, and it was pretty much empowering whānau members with a disability, just
All diverse abilities,
Yep,
which
all
is the new
diverse
kupu which we've
abilities.
adopted. Kia ora.
And it was really cool because we had the chance to create graphic novels and animations and sound effects, and this just happens to be one example where it's actually Kiringawa Tūmai and Te Ataro from E Waka Kotuia, the Paulette.
Yeah. So we just,
and Kominis whānau. So.
we really want to mihi out to you fellas because you really nurtured us, and this was one of our first really big projects for us. It was kind of us making a statement in the whānau order space, and just wanting to be able to give back to our communities. And Komini and Paulette and the whānau, just really cultivate us during those times, invited us in and gave us that manaki to help us to showcase our skills and work with them to make something that could represent their whānau. And it was cool seeing He Waka Kotuia on stage last night and seeing the bro Kiringawa, just seeing how actually buff he's actually getting. It was like, because we knew with the bro with little hairs and kind of rolling around, and I was like, we're actually looking at his biceps and like, this fella's getting huge.
So in those days, I guess we did whatever we could to seek support, whether it be like go to IRD, we rolled up to Aotearoa, we met a whole bunch of rangatira from Te Puni Kōkiri. They had MBFS, the Māori Business Facilitation Service, and they just helped push us into the rooms to sort of experience what it was like to sort of have drive and move forward with creating what would be a business. So we wanted to show this. This was a pinnacle moving point in our lives because we went actually to the Perk Cafe because the Kuma Southern Māori Business Network used to meet there. I think they were doing their annual quarterly or something like that.
It was like they had like a bi-monthly, super early in the morning hui, and we're in our jandals, a backward hat rolled in, and there's all these esteemed rangatira sitting around with their suits, and like, Father, we in the right place kind of thing. But that was a really amazing point because we got to sit down with this one cat that we heard was a bit of a hero around in his entrepreneurial game around here in Otipoti. And now was a chance for us to sit down with this dude who's sitting in the back there, or Patariki Hasi. So we were talking about having amazing mentors and how important that is for young Māori males on the come up. Patariki Hasi is that for us. We got to sit down with him, and I don't know what we said, but we showed him like a whole bunch of these out of it as drawings that we were doing. And it just led to him being like, yeah, right, brothers, we have to do some sort of mahi together. And so he took it upon himself to, because we were at Aotearoa at that point, eh?
Yeah.
And then the bro Patariki rolled up with his van. He's like, all right, brothers, I've actually got a real steezy spot for you guys to come and kick it. So that's
the bro here.
Sorry, bro.
This is him in his element, actually. When we first met. And we basically glitched him out with all this kōrero around interdimensional beings and stuff. And he was like, how about you come up to my loft and I guess we can talk about, there's this thing that I've heard about called Te Putahitanga, and we want to be able to try and create pukerangi pā. We wanted to manifest some ideas and I guess create our own marae, our own whare haora for whānau. In those days we were trying to create a respite in the middle of nowhere where whānau could go to learn tikanga, learn culture, and sort of heal and restore themselves in a whole new way. And
so one of the notable things about Patariki is he took us from these low-key airs, like we had our backward hats and all that sort of malnourished sort of a thing, and then he introduced us to being a little bit more steezier now, so then we started to wear some fresher gear and started to take a bit of I don't know, a thing in our appearances and I don't know, try out all this new stuff. But yeah, the bro was ambitious. He helped us to think, we were in this little box, like, man, it'll be cool as to be able to pay rent next week. And he's like, brothers, why not think at this scale and let's go start our own pā and let's see if Te Putahitanga will give us like $5 million to go make this crazy. And we're like, yeah, bro, all right, bro, yeah, no, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, we actually spent like a week just heat-boying around, and we actually put a whole bunch of application videos forth, and we got a call from Te Putahitanga. It was actually Kasna who called us up and said, sorry, actually, your applications have not been successful. However, we would love for you guys to come up to this event we're running called the Hot House Dragon's Den in Christchurch. And all these whānau from all over are coming sort of similar to this, except they're going to be pitching their ideas, and we need you guys to help them with their presentations, designing their logos. Basically, we got no sleep in 48 hours, and we were just on that whole time just creating stuff. And it was a really amazing environment because a lot of the OGs of whānau order that you see back in the day, or the first wave, you can see where they've flourished to now, and we were back there with them just in their very early inception stages.
And so after that, we were real super tired. We had a mean kai in that, and we sat down and had a beer and just kind of reflected on those last few days of what it meant to be a part of this thing called Te Putahitanga, this whānau order wave, and what our potential role is in that, the way that whānau order helped us connect to all these other business owners, other playmakers, and we felt that this is the type of place that our energy needed to be directed towards. And now, like in old jobs and all that sort of a thing, it was like real corporate brochures and all that sort of thing, but it was disconnected from what it meant to be Māori and what it meant to be Māori creatives in this entrepreneurial space. So we knew after that Te Putahitanga and supporting whānau order and working together on these types of things was the path for us. And so from there, we decided to lock in our name as Maui Studios. We set up a new business from existing design, which was me, like those interdimensional space mix, but we think that Maui Studios actually spoke a lot more clearly to who we want to be in this realm of Te Ao Māori.
Yeah, it resonated. So this is actually Velvet Burger, next to Velvet Burger, above the Perk Cafe. It's our very first proper studio, and it was massive, and we used to hold huis, and wānanga, we used to come in, and Vinny would be, I don't know, super tired, wrapped in a cloth, and town would be going off, but he was in the corner working on an animation for like some chump change, I think it was. And it was just a space for us to generate our ideas. And one of the ideas in particular that we applied for funding for was with Creative New Zealand we were talking about Maui so much that we wanted to recreate Maui in the sun. So we really got to work, myself and Vin, recreating the story, working on the new illustrations and digital illustrations that we'd learnt in study to put together our first puka puka, and it got on the radar of Tukaha at the time, with the Wānau crew and all them, and they came down and did a story on us, and we were just all buzzing with the amount of aroha and support we'd sort of received from the whole country seeing that segment, and it sort of really helped push us to haritonu, you know. And
it's cool because like we're working in like Ministry of Justice and developing resources and stuff now. We'll get to that stuff, but what's a really cool thing is that some of our bros that are in prisons and then they've got out, who are really into art and all that, they'll come up to us in just random ass places and be, oh bro, these are the fellas from Tukaha. Oh, we saw your guys' artworks and all that sort of a thing, and then they'll show us pictures and whatnot that they've done that was inspired by some of that mahi. So it's cool just seeing how that sort of loop worked, eh? And so seeing that image there of Maui, Tiki a Taranga, standing before Tamanui Te Rā, that faced the challenge, or that represented the challenges that we ourselves were facing as young entrepreneurs. You know, we've got this massive as atua essentially before us, and he's got gnashing as teeth, and he's fiery, he could like destroy us. But at the same time, we were keen to face that, we were keen to take that on, and so that's why the whole idea around Maui was so meaningful to us. Like, Maui came up with a main plan, he organised his rōpū, he had an ambitious idea, and he hit that ambition with a plan. And so that's something that we could really resonate with and kind of try to embody when it comes to different things, you know, being that hautatu, but also innovating, trying out new things and growing from there.
So this story is about how we met Helen, actually. I'd been working on Hui a Iwi 2015 when the event was taking place here in Dunedin, helping with the branding with Michelle and Kitty and doing all these amazing things. And basically one day we decided that Dunedin wasn't doing it for us anymore, so that we should shift. We actually shifted all over the place. The bro went to Tauranga, I went to Christchurch, Patariki stayed down here, and we thought maybe the modi, the buzz of it was going to be lost. But instead, I positioned myself within the Tront building actually, and just seeing how they roll. And I one day saw this lady running across the road back and forth with all these papers, and she'd dropped a few and all that. And I actually went to help her with it. And, we just started talking, and you know, Patariki happened to be in town, and we sort of arranged a hui, and she'd offered us to create some stories, create some films, because she'd remembered us from back in the day to be able to telling the stories of whānau throughout Te Waipounamu. So from there, I was like, I can't do this by myself, so I called up the bro, and I was like, bro, I booked your ticket, you're coming to live in Christchurch now, we're gonna do this, we're gonna actually commit and do this business thing, and yeah, not let the fire go out.
And that was exactly it. Like, I just got a spontaneous call one day, and my phone just rang. Like, all right, bro, like, you kind of sounded a bit flustered, like almost a bit sweaty as well. Bro, bro, I need you to, I've booked you a flight, bro, you need to move to Christchurch. And it was just like, felt the modi of the moment so hard. It's like, nah, yeah, you know what, bro? I'm packing up my stuff right now. I went into the room, packed it all up. Mum, Dad's like, what are you? Because I was living at home at the time. What are you doing? So I'm moving to Christchurch. They're like, oh. So they felt the Modi too. And so we got to meet all these super amazing entrepreneurs, right? Like Whānau Ora is there. It's like all these really amazing thinkers. It's all these entrepreneurs, people making plays. And so we got to be fully immersed in that. And our role throughout that was to tell part of those stories in the form of, well, we're keen, eh? So like the bro was saying around our degrees, like it just taught us to be problem solvers first and foremost, and then being able to apply that to any which creative discipline that we wanted. So we're offering all sorts of stuff like graphic design, web design, doing film. So, and that got us a chance to be able to meet everyone. So you may see a few familiar faces around here. This is us, Papa Kylie, reading a book to us and with the Pa Kids co-papa. You want to jump in, G? I'll be going for you.
Oh, yeah, Donna. Sure. Go next one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, we did. We were going around to Waipounamu. We were really hearing the stories of whānau who had come up with their ideas. They were being self-determining, and our job was to capture them. So we heard everything they were saying, and we were just, I don't know, just always constantly super inspired by all these new kaupapa. And yeah.
I just want to jump in and just for this particular image here, because this is us at Huiaiwi a few years back. I think it might have been the first Huiaiwi, and we're kicking it there with Mania. And so I just wanted to mihi out to Mania because she was like, I don't know, I think we were naive a lot to a lot of the realities of what might be happening in their political space and all that sort of a thing, so we were just going here and there. But it was awesome to just have that guiding hand, that guiding spirit that could roll with us and make sure that we were basically looked after in these spaces that may not seem safe or may not always be safe. But she was a person that made sure that we felt and were safe in those spaces. So, ngā mihi, Mania, thank you. And so carrying on from that is we're now cut loose on the Whānau Ora journey of creating all these different films all up and down the motu. And that was the way that we like to kind of do some of the interviews and whatnot. Is like it was a chance for us to get on the level of whānau and have a kōrero about them, their dreams and their aspirations, and especially as young Māori still making it in the world, that was a nice thing to be in proximity to.
Yeah. We had another buzz where we came up with this concept, just called it just getting on flick with just some of the cool rangatira around in the motu. So here's one of us getting on flick with Tūruro, Kylie, Jade Timiparas, like all those guys. Basically, when we meet them, we just want to do something cool, so we get to pose with them and hang out with them, and that's how we connect with them. Just do something memorable rather than just a normal kōrero.
And it was crack up the first time that we met Tūruro, because like we didn't know politics, we were just worrying about being like interdimensional space mech Māoris. And we were at the MBFS, or the Te Puni Kokiri Māori Business Facilitation, and we were just finished having our real important business hui about all the things that are involved with that. And we were walking out, and as we were walking out, we saw, he'll probably give me a hard time for this, but saw like this kind of old fella, and there was some and we just like sort of walking past, like had no idea who these fellas were. And it happened to be Tūruro Flavel at Marama Fox. And so we like, that was at the,
TPK, it was at the TPK building, and yeah, we didn't know who they were, and then we ended up just getting to kick it with them for a while in the building and just getting on the level, and now wherever we go, they always remember us, and we're like, hey, like, we're part of this.
But what I really like about that connect is Tūruro helped us realize the importance of what it meant to be Māori in these spaces as well. Tūruro Flavel was doing Te Wharetu Toa at the time, and that helped guide us in the direction of wanting to do that sort of a thing as well. So we like, yeah, cool entrepreneur is awesome. It's awesome to be able to look out for ourselves, but with the example of the prisons, there are people looking at us now and looking at what it was that we're doing, and how we're being represented became at the forefront of our mind. And so that pushed us to get into learning Te Wharetu Toa. This example here is Mads and I when we graded Pautoru a few years back, and this was, if I remember correctly, was the first Putahitanga grading for the whole of the South Island.
Yeah, that's right. And so we actually started being taught by wahine here in Otipoti, Viki Totoro, and a lot of local area. They run it actually every Thursday, and we just started going. And then when we moved to Christchurch, we met Aaron Hapuku, and he just opened our eyes to the potential of using Mau Taiaha, Mau Rākau as a vehicle for learning te reo Māori, kapahaka, being mentally and physically well, just all the things that you need to stay strong and I guess solidify your whakapapa and identity in life. So Yeah.
And so during that time, there was a purupuruaki for, I think it was Māori Party with Te Ruru Flavel, and there was a koha that went out to that ropu. It was like a mean-ass piece that was carved by Fane Robinson. It was like a pounamu. We had all these mean intricacies in it. It was something, never seen anything like that before. And that was the time that Mads and I got called up to do a haka for those fellas, just to tautoko that process. And so like we could kind of see that all these different connections throughout our careers and how they were linked and all the importance of our culture, how they were coming to the forefront and just helping us to progress in society.
Neat. Okay, I think this next part is we're going to just lay a whole bunch of really interestingly buzzy and crazy projects on you guys. So let's go. This is Te Pōkai Taro o Te Ao. We basically had the opportunity to take a cohort of rangatahi along with some other kayako over to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where they experience a whole bunch of technology that'll totally just blow their minds so that they can come back to their whānau within their own hapori and grow their own ideas. So it was just a way of us to really share our kōrero with them and help lead them around the space.
The next example is a whole bunch of whānau ora organizations that we've had the privilege of laying the foundation of who we are as young entrepreneurs and young Māori in the space. And those groups that we were working with there led us to work with these types of organizations as well. 120 plus small SMEs. We're smashing it with a workshop and doing some mahi with New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, BNZ, Microsoft and the like. This is an example of a Minecraft project that we put together alongside core education. And so it's about using Minecraft in classes to be able to help rangatahi get there, develop a whole set of skills, and those are fully into reo Māori.
And here's an example of the Asian New Zealand Foundation, who were doing a report with Ihi Research and Development on the similarities and contrasts between Māori and Asian cultures. And we had the opportunity to help design that report, which ultimately led us to wanting to go over to Japan and China, and they offered to help fund that trip, where we're basically just being Māori in Asia, exploring 2 weeks in Tokyo, Japan, just really getting a grasp of their culture and getting to put together a short story that sort of tells our adventures as we meet their rangatira and also other Asian and New Zealand entrepreneurs that were traveling at that time.
It was an amazing time for us to start building a network as well. We knew we wanted to do business with Asian cultures, namely China and India, those types of places. We wanted to be a global organization, so it was a chance for us to be able to make contacts and meet manufacturers and things like that. This is a whole bunch of trippy illustration stuff that we did working alongside the Ministry of Education, creating a whole bunch of resources for when Hangaro Matihiko came onto the scene. So we worked with them to create a whole bunch of just like help to communicate what Hangaro Matihiko actually was. And that sort of thing evolved and grew into the types of illustration we want to represent our tipuna with. We'd grown up with those classic Maui in the Sun stories, which was like the 2D and the pulling the thing, and we loved it, but as young Māori, male Māori, we gravitated towards things like anime and the Japanese influence and the Asian influence, so we wanted to have our own version of these. So there's a copy of Tangaroa.
Speaking of Tangaroa, one day I got a random call from a fella here in Dunedin called Ian Taylor, and he rang me up and pitched this crazy proposition to me about how would you like to sail in the footsteps of your tūpuna on both your Cook Island side and your Waitahu side from Tahiti, Rarotonga all the way to Aotearoa. And so we left on an epic voyage, 20 days at sea doing celestial navigation, and I had the opportunity to really kick it and research with the crew. He'd asked me if I'd sailed before, and I was like, yep. And then basically it was the most eye-opening experience of my life, and after that I can just fully see all these myths and legends and tales of the past, like Maui fishing up Te Kā Maui, all those sorts of things, like they all resonate and they all flow into our actual migration history, and being able to experience that has totally changed my outlook on life. And so when I made it back, I had the opportunity to start thinking about what I really want to do, and my real passion, both of our passions actually, within upskilling in the production game, being able to create films and tell stories. So what we're really trying to do now is achieve a whole nother level of cinematography, telling Māori stories. We're aiming to do documentaries, feature-length films. These are examples of some of the ones we've been doing lately, just small screenshots, small moments, but that's the aspiration.
And bouncing back to the illustration side of thing, working with the Ministry of Education, pumping out resources, our whole thing is just to be able to blanket all these amazing resources that rangatahi can really get into, and then get them into those school spaces and make them like genuinely exciting. It's not trying to tack it on and be like, yo, this thing's related to this thing. We just wanted to go, these are things that we actually just genuinely love creating. We want to create more of that and make it available to rangatahi. So the examples we show is Auru Mowai, it's a sanctuary. This is a platform that we set up with support from Whae Helen and the Te Putahitanga crew. And it's basically a website that's just heaps of free resources in Te Reo Māori at different levels, lesson plans for teachers, and then a whole bunch of different posters and things. I'm not sure if you guys caught up with Gons and Tours, who are some of the Maui kaumahi at the store. They're just giving out free graphic novels and posters, and I actually saw Gons. I saw there was heaps of other posters, so if you want a free poster or want any books or anything like that, head up to bro Gons, who's about to put his hand up. Yeah. So free stuff.
We got a whole bunch to give away.
Whole bunch, just take them with you. And so, and then there was that gradual progression, right? Illustration, that's cool, like designing the characters, awesome. Let's see what happens when we make 3D modeled versions of them. So we started smashing out like augmented reality outcomes, making cool models that open up the book, you bust your phone out, it brings up a little 3D model that walks around the page and has a kōrero with you and narrates the story to you.
There was also another moment during a COVID lockdown last year. We had the chance to really lock ourselves in and train and work on the things that we wanted to do. And this example here is one that I saw Vinny toil away on every day, which is in the Unreal Engine. It's the gaming platform. They created Fortnite on it. A lot of popular games of today is also being merged with the film industry. And so this fella recreated a taranaki maunga, a physical 3D environment day in, day out.
And so that one there was based on, there's a place called Turuturu Mokai, which was one of the pa where my brothers and I grew up in Normanby in South Taranaki. But, which is it's an all too common thing for like pa and things to go desolate and for people to forget about them and for whatever. And so we managed to sift through a whole bunch of Google images that were looking down on it, had a bit of a rough thing, getting some stuff from different historic texts and kōrero from our kaumātua, and just began to recreate this thing in a virtual reality experience. So it's one of those spaces where you can put on the headset and actually walk around the pa and kind of see what it may have looked like had it not fallen to waste based on whatever happened, in history. So that's that kaupapa there. So I suppose what I think, we've loaded you up with a whole bunch of kōrero and all these different things, and these are all the stuff, the mahi that we do. But all that mahi, if you go from where we started off with, of just being these malnourished and then had fire molly, and we're knocking at the door with our hand, hand out and go, oh, fire, can we have a feed? That's where things started. And so, being able to give that tautoko and that manaki to those low-key as kids that could easily become delinquents and get arrested for doing graffiti, these are the things that they're able to do once they've given the support from their people, their whānau, and help push us in the direction of hauora. And so I think it's just a crazy picture to me to think of that. Because of you fellas, we were able to achieve all these things. So we're eternally grateful for that.
Almost done a lot of my whānau. Okay, just moving on to the next part. This is 2021, moving forward.
Yeah, so far. We'll wrap it up.
Moving forward, this is the sound stage that we're aspiring to create here we are creating it here in Canterbury, or in the region. I don't know if people are familiar with The Mandalorian and the production they use to create that. And basically it's putting together a whole bunch of LED screens and being able to put elements and build sets in the foreground to make the background an illusion. And so what we've noticed here in Te Waipounamu is that people come here to film our beautiful landscape, but they go to the North Island, Te Maui, they go to Wellington, they go to Auckland to film the rest of the production. So we can see that there's a massive gap here, and Otipoti started working in Netflix productions and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to open up and be a part of one of the catalysts in those markets. So we're creating this space now. This is and we're doing a concept for 2 years just to really test it out. Already started doing a bit of skits, and we've started investing in some of the kit you might have seen the Maui crew utilizing over the last few days, and those cameras are Netflix approved as well, so we're hoping to aspiration is to be able to tell stories on those types of platforms, the Disney Plus and all that, get in rooms with the Taika Waititis.
And just recreating 3D environments and taking it to that next level, contrasting between like, you know, our Māori symbolisms and tohu, and then being able to clash those with other sorts of cultures and see what comes of that. So this is a story that we're currently working on called Te Jank Bounty, or the Western Bounty. This is the crack up little skit. But it just shows the types of things that are possible, and we can recreate environments and all that sort of a thing. And you
Looks
know,
like he's in the bar, doesn't it?
oh,
Or is
you
he?
might actually believe that I'm there, but it's just a, you know, oh, we got you. And you may believe that the bro's out there in the ngahere, but in actual fact, he's out in the thing. So, yeah, it's like the whānau ora is just a massive part of our lives. I think that's just basically what we're trying to say, is that you've enabled us to be able to create these things and become something that could potentially like create some real value for Māori film and Māori creativity, and creating things that are just really amazing. So, yeah, kia ora.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Okay. Ka pai. So I suppose in conclusion, we just wanted to mihi to everybody for helping us on our journey. You guys are the ones that we're thinking about how the people you meet along the journey are the ones that help connect you with the opportunities and experiences to be able to do the things. And before you know it, you look back and you've created this energy, this movement. And we've always talked about it as Maui Studios, is because it's more of an energy that can resonate with people who we've never even heard of before, and people hitting us up and all these different aspects. And I suppose like one of the biggest things I want to push is like for rangatahi Māori, for just youth in general, to, I guess, aspire to pursue higher learning, whatever that may look like for you. I'm not saying you have to go to college, go to university, but it could be through wānanga, it could be pursuing ideas, and you're in the room now with the people that can help you manifest those ideas into your reality. And I suppose what we just showed you was an example of that journey. So yeah.
I would just like to take this moment as well. Is it all good if the, because, you know, we're these pretty buzzy cats, you know, like making ourselves look like mechs, but we somehow convinced that whole rōpu over there to join us on this kaupapa. And I know that Whai Māori said that we're at 10, but since when we submitted that, we're actually at that point, we're like 16 people on the payroll now, and we have aspirations in the not too distant future to have get up to that 20 stage. So really appreciate the Maui Studios crew that's based over there in the corner for just being crazy with us, for helping us to get to where we are.
Huru noa te whare, a tēnā rā tātou katoa. Kia ora.
Thank you.
Kia ora. That was awesome. I might have lost my script, but I haven't lost my thoughts about what I've taken out of today. So, what I've got out of something that there's not much I don't know about you, but I saw you started from humble beginnings, and I saw that with your whānau that you showed on there, and that's where you came from. So along the way, my role, I hope, in Te Taumata has been to make a safe place for people to be in, and that's what I hope has happened for you, and will happen. That's what whānau ora is about, and anybody that comes to be part of Te Putahitanga is hopefully we can make a safe place for all of you to be in, and these men have just demonstrated what an awesome place it is to be in, and I I think a lot about what it does and what it can do, and I find it very difficult to listen to people saying, what is whānau ora? It just doesn't make sense to me. Whānau ora is alive, it's well, and you've just seen how well it treats you. And Helen, you made a safe place for these boys to be in, and I know they've gone to another place now, and I hope they've got a big boardroom so that we can still have some of our meetings there, so I can still see them when I come to Christchurch. But I just want to say that was fantastic. I can't do you justice, and you've done it yourselves. So there's nothing more I can say about them. I feel it, but I can't say it. So,